Hey guys, Comet here. Welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. We're on episode 10 of the Needy Duplicant series now. In the last episode, I put in some slickster ranches to try and consume all of the CO2 that these generators here are making. They've done an okay job so far. I've got some babies up here in the incubators now. These farms are all full. CO2 pressure was at 10 kilos, it's down to 7.5. It is pushing up against the oxygen pressure in the base a little bit, so I put in some carbon skimmers here to just help keep the CO2 at bay. I've also done a little bit of work between episodes to get rid of all of the natural and sour gas that was stuck in this area here. In this episode, I want to start taming some volcanoes, so I got this copper volcano here. I've also got another one back over here, and then I know there's like an iron and gold volcano around here somewhere. Yeah, both of them on the screen there. So I was able to make a lot of material, metal from the metal refinery. I can get in a lot of conductive stuff, and then I've also got a lot of ceramic from these kilns. So I have a lot of material to work with, and I want to put it to use. So I'm going to design a passive copper volcano tamer. I think it's going to be pretty similar to some of the ones I've done in the past, but I will cut ahead a little bit to when I have a design I'm happy with. Alright, I quite like this. So this autosweeper can reach the output of the volcano, and it can reach this autosweeper. I'm going to run the iron conveyor rails everywhere except this tile here. I want to preserve that so that the volcano doesn't erupt on me while I'm working here. It's going to go up into some metal tiles here, where the output of the steam turbine will counterflow against it. So these tiles here will be kept at about 95 degrees. That's the temperature of the steam turbine output. Then the copper coming out of this box here can be run through it to cool it off to 95 degrees before sending it out for the final chilling in this section. If I just sent it straight through here, then it would be at 125. The coldest I could get it is 125 passively. But here, the coldest I can get it passively is 95. So get a little bit of extra energy for free out of it that way. So I think I will turn the dupes loose on this. Maybe make some access points on both sides here. I'm also going to go around the perimeter, not with shift plates, but with drywall, and wow, that is a lot of blueprints. I could get really creative here. I think I'll just stick with the base one out of Maffic. Just going to go around the perimeter. I don't want any shift plates here next to the insulated tiling. I want to concentrate the shift plates in the center. Same for up here, actually. And shift plates, I've got a lot of lead. I need to use diamond right here at this spot, but everywhere else can be iron or probably aluminum. I think I'll use aluminum. There's a ton of aluminum on this map. Now, normally I would use copper, but like I said, there's no naturally occurring copper, so I need to get the copper volcano tamer in place in order to get the copper to make the copper volcano tamer. Now I just have to figure out how to get a vacuum in here. I think at this point I'm just gonna have to pump it all out with a gas pump. I'll just throw it up here. I need to make a little bit of a liquid lock here. I think by just putting a tile here, I can drop a blob of crude oil down to there, and that should seal this whole thing off, but dupes can still get in and out. Now I want to set this valve to just 1 kilo. That way when the steam turbine outputs its 2 kilos, half of it will go across and down, the other half will go down, so it splits it evenly into 2 1 kilo packets. That way there won't be any pipe breakage. I want this aqua tuner to run if the coolant in the loop is ever above... I'm probably going to be using polluted water, so I could do... I'll just say 10 degrees. And that goes into just a buffer gate here, like I did with this aqua tuner. I'd like these pumps to also vacuum out this area up here. And when I hover over the volcano, it says it's dormant now. I'm gonna trust it and put in this, made out of steel, just behind that tile where the molten copper comes out. I'm also gonna put in a shift plate made of diamond here. And then everything else can just be generic material. I don't think a copper volcano gets warm enough to actually melt anything important. 2226. I think it's the iron volcano that I have to worry about. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, you come out about 300 degrees hotter. I'm also going to need to get some water into there, so I'll just drag this pipe up. And then I can just bridge in. I think right here would be fine. I do have to be careful not to overfill this. Volcanoes overpressurize at 150 kilos. So this is 4 blocks tall. If I can get 600 kilos of water per tile, once it turns to steam and spreads out across the 4 above it, or the 3 above the 1 for the total of 4, that would be 150 per tile. 600 would be the max. I do want as large of a buffer as possible so that things don't get too hot too quickly in here. But if I put too much, then it overpressurizes. So I think I'll stick with like maybe 500-ish kilos. It doesn't have to be exact. Alright, a vacuum has been pulled in both of these chambers. I don't need these pumps anymore. I need to get some ladders up to this height here so that my duplicants can get in to build those back. It looks like Rowan finished analyzing this. His next activity is going to be in 42 cycles. So I caught it right at the end. But it will produce 9.8 kilos a second when it's active, for an average output of 290 grams a second. I do need to get some coolant into this loop here, so I think I'll just branch off of this loop. Then I will need a way of filling that loop back up. I guess I could just do that. And before I forget, I need to put in a buffer. I'll do it right there. That'll keep the loop from ever jamming. I'm gonna leave this open. That way I can come back in with the copper that this produces to put in all of the shift plates back in here. Because I don't want to spend all of my aluminum on that. I'd rather do it out of copper. I don't have access to an aluminum volcano. That's only in the Spaced Out DLC. So, theoretically, I have a limited amount of aluminum, but an infinite amount of copper if I just let the game run. So I will take this whole thing and then paste it over this volcano. Well, ooh, that's in the gross area. Maybe we come back to that one. I could do the gold one here. Dupes will be in Atmos suits for this one, so I don't care too much. But the exact same design should work. I think I'll just mirror it, because it's on the opposite side of the map. And I've got to be careful not to dig out that tile. Now, gold volcanoes are kind of the odd one out of the iron, copper, and gold. Just because the amount of heat they produce, not temperature, but heat, is so low compared to the others, you can get away with just a self-cooled steam turbine if you're willing to accept very hot gold. I'd rather my duplicates not be picking up really hot gold and then placing it around the base for certain items. I'd rather just have one standard build that works on every volcano that I could just stamp down and not have to worry about it. Because then I'm always guaranteed cold metal. Oh my god. I think I might have a few too many slicksters at this point. Pressure is still quite high though, so I'll let them keep doing their thing. I need to stop pumping water down here for now. I think I have more than enough crude oil for a while. And I would like to drain out the crude oil to the point where this natural gas geyser isn't submerged, because it's not actually doing anything right now, so I'm not getting free power. I think I might put an airflow box around it. These tiles will keep the crude oil out, but it'll let the natural gas escape. Now I just need to figure out how to get clean and polluted water over to here. Vacuum has almost been pulled. I think I'll just do the same thing. So clean water can come through here. Just from this line. Polluted water, I don't want to keep using that. I guess I could take some from these tanks. I'll just run it down this way through these farms. Then I need to get it... Ew. Oh well. I'll just make this synthetic tiling. That way I can get a bridge over the pipe there. Then I don't have to worry about the natural tile breaking. Then I guess just over this. And then down this way. Alright, and that'll fill the polluted water loop. How did you get down here without an atmo suit? Okay. You need to go back up here. Alright, vacuum achieved. For the most part, this chlorine will just slowly disappear. There, yep, there it goes. Can get in these tiles. I'll make sure not to overfill this with water. I want to get that 500 to 600 kilos. Now with this gold, I can finally improve the power spine. I want to get all of this lead wiring converted to gold, because the decor malice is reduced if it's made out of gold. But that is probably enough water now, so I will cut... Well, I guess I'll just destroy that bridge. I can use the copper from this volcano, well, first of all to finish all the shift plates here, and then to finish all of the shift plates here, while using the gold for the wiring. I want to get into the iron volcano now. So I'll just copy this whole design and put it in place here. Now I don't like the fact that my duplicates can access this just straight from the base. They don't have to go through the checkpoint. So I'm going to put in some doors here to block permissions and force them to go up and around through here. And then I can also get up into this area, which I've noticed I've really neglected this cool salt slush geyser here. It's just kind of gone everywhere. But since my duplicates will be guaranteed to be in atmo suits if I force them to come around and up this way, I can break into this area that's full of high pressure polluted oxygen. It's like 30 kilos there. so I can start taming this copper volcano as well. Oh wow, I've actually got some steam in here already. I guess I could turn this back on. Let all the hot gold circulate. It's not warm enough to run the turbine, but once it gets to 125 in here, I'll start getting some extra passive cooling from these metal tiles here. Alright, this one is almost done here. Still just pulling a vacuum to put in the final touches, but I think I can get started on this copper volcano now that I have this entrance blocked off. My duplicants are guaranteed to be in Atmos suits. Ooh, I'm gonna come dangerously close to breaking into there. That would be bad. Yeah, I can't just put doors here because pressure is so high. I need to actually physically seal this off. So I think I'll just put in some blocks here and then a block there. And this whole area here will just be kind of like a sacrificial pressure sink. Alright, this is approaching 500 kilos per tile now, so I'm going to just snip that input. I'm going to go ahead and put in the shift plate to unblock this volcano. And I'll just let it start running. I will get a little bit of heat leak through this crude oil, but it's not terrible. And that's just temporary until I get enough copper to put in all of the shift plates. Alright, this is about to erupt. Let's see if this breaks anything. No? We look good. Building melted. Something melted. What just melted? Conveyor rail. I made that out of steel, didn't I? Alright. I guess I didn't. So that's why that tile needs to be made out of steel. You'll end up with some melting if you don't do that. Rowan finished his analysis here, and it looks like I've got just 7 more cycles before this goes dormant again. Damn, I caught all of these, like, right at the worst time. Oh, and the steam turbine has turned on. Kind of. So that means this tile here should be getting a little bit cooler. So when the gold comes out, it should also be cooler. I did notice some empty carriages were running through here. I think that's caused by this tile right here. When the items pass the molten variant of themselves, they turn back into a liquid, melt, fall onto the ground, but the carriage keeps going, which kind of plugs throughput a little bit. So I'm curious if it would just be better to go up this way and then just into there. And then I wouldn't need any of this or any of this. Once I get the shift plates in here, they should kind of do the work of the extra switchbacks to smear temperature. And that also eliminates the need for that steel piece right through here. As long as the output is properly throttled, using either a shutoff or a meter, the gold will have enough time, or rather, this is a generic design, any metal should have enough time to sit in this room to give off its heat. So I'm going to make the same change to this one. So it's going to go up there, and then I don't need this or this. That means I should update this one as well. So I don't need any of that, and I don't need any of that. And knowing that ahead of time now, I can just route this over like that. Let's see if there's any empty carriages this time. No, I'm not seeing any. I think rerouting fixed that problem. Now that these volcanoes are analyzed, I can see the exact average output. So I can put in a conveyor meter with an output here, and then just run an automation wire from its output back into its input. And I think what that'll allow me to do is precisely control the rate of the conveyor rail. So if I set it to, like 390, it will reset itself, but there needs to be a delay. Now, I think the shutoff method is just better. Because if it just resets itself, then the amount here is irrelevant. Anytime it gets to the threshold, it just resets anyway. Now, if I take the shutoff approach, I could use a cycle sensor, or even just a timer sensor. Because a cycle sensor is just a timer sensor with a preset max time. So the green duration will be when it's active. The red duration is when it is not active. It's active for 39 seconds every 781. So I just want the timer sensor to match that. So 39 to 781. Oh, I guess 600 is the max. So that's the equivalent of 30 seconds. 30 to 600 is the same as 39 is to 781. And so that should perfectly calibrate the output of this gold. Gives it enough time to sit in the steam room, enough time to sit on the cold plate, and enough time to sit in the cold room. So I'm going to take this idea and copy it to the others. Let's see, so this one is on a 667 second cycle. So 41 divided by 667 times 600. That's the same as being active for 39 seconds. This one I don't have analyzed yet. Will it tell me? Oh yeah, it does. Eruption period is 53 seconds every... Oh, but it has to be normalized for the conveyor rail throughput. I think all I would have to do is divide the green duration by the output. So the rail does 20 kilograms a second, but it's going to be running for 39 seconds, even though this is only outputting 10 kilograms. So if I cut that in half and do 20 instead, then it's like the conveyor rail is only doing 10 kilograms for the 39 seconds. Yeah, so I have to divide the throughput of the conveyor rail by the output of the volcano. So 20 divided by 10, just round that, that's easy, 2. So I'll cut that in half. This one, 11.7. So 20 divided by 11.7. It's a little bit less than 2. So 30 divided by 1.7 gives me 17 seconds on this one. And I'll round that up to 18. This one outputs at 9.8. That's close enough to 10. Oh, but this is on a 936 second interval. Okay, so 50 divided by the 936 times 600 normalized to a cycle. Then I need to divide that by 2. So 16. I want this to be active for 16 seconds every 600. Alright, I think all I have to do now is get this cleaned up, get this analyzed, input its numbers into the sensor, and that'll be the end of this episode. Got 4 volcanoes tamed. That's really nice. Alright, I'm starting to pump some water into this one. That means it is time for the shift plate. Still have plenty of diamond left. Then I can get Rowan in here to analyze this. Then I'll know what I'm dealing with. And it looks like I caught this one while it's dormant too. Now there is one more alteration. I think this one is easily overlooked. So this runs every 18 seconds. That means I need at least 18 rails in this area here so that it doesn't completely reset everything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so there's 22 there. If there's anything that needs to run for more than 22 seconds, there needs to be more railing in here so that the iron or whatever material is here on its pass doesn't go further than this area. I'll snip it here to make this easier to understand. So everything on this section of the railing is in like stage 1 of the assembly line. And if it takes 18 seconds, or well in this case 20 seconds, for this section of the assembly line to move to the next section, I would need 20 slots to hold everything. Because each slot just represents 1 second. And that's also true for the upper section. Now, there's nothing I can do about this. That's just too small to make 18 blocks. But I can zigzag up here so that there's enough space for it to buffer in this area before it goes to the final holding area up top. So something like this would guarantee that it's here for long enough. And then I'll just do that for all of them. Alright, but this is a vacuum, and Rowan's got this analyzed. Looks like it runs at 7.1 kilos. It erupts 53 seconds every 695. So 53 divided by 695 times 600 is 45. I will round that up to 46. And then I take the 46 and divide it by the 7.1 to 20, which is almost 3. So I need to divide this 46 by 3. That gives me 15. We'll run that up to 16. So if the conveyor rails run for 20 kilos a second every 16 seconds, should match the throughput of the volcano here. But this one's not going to erupt for another 36 cycles, so it's going to be a long time before I get my copper. But I really like this design. It's a one-size-fits-all. The only thing that needs to be changed is the settings here. So just calibrate it for your specific volcano. But out of the 4 I have, the greatest production is going to be 20 every 600. So if you don't feel like doing the math, you could just set it to 20 and you'll probably be fine. You might just end up with some warmer material than you were expecting if this number is too high. Right, to be safe, just make the number really high, but if you want maximum efficiency, then throttling it down to match the volcano is how you get there. So I do like the progress that I made in this episode. I like these three. I'm not too happy with this one, just because of how close it is to the main transportation spine. So I had to do a little bit of a modification on it. But overall, this should give me a lot of free power once the volcanoes stop being dormant. They're all freaking dormant on me. But I'll also get some free metal, and the one I'm most looking forward to is the copper, because there's no copper on this map at all. And over the course of this episode, these slicksters have eaten so much carbon dioxide, we're down to just 2.5 kilos. These guys are great. Eventually, I'm not going to have enough CO2 to feed them. And then they're going to all start dying off. I'm going to have a whole bunch of barbecue that I can't put in refrigerators. The crude oil is draining slowly. I turned these off a while ago. I want to let all of it drain out around this geyser so that I can maybe seal it up a little bit better. That way, in case I do have a backup of crude oil, it's not constantly overpressurized. Because this is free power, just like the volcanoes are. I'll probably play a little bit between episodes to let these volcanoes erupt a few times, just so I have some copper to play with. I might also do a little bit of exploring off camera, just see what else the map has to offer for me. Because I really need to get in a permanent housing unit for my duplicants. I've been talking about that for a few episodes now. I'm not too sure where I want to put that yet. I've also got this volcano here that I found a few episodes ago. I've got this geyser here that I need to go explore. And I've also got this one way up here that I found. So there's a lot of places I can dig to. Oh, and tapping into this would also be a good idea. Just to help keep my water tank full. Struggling a little bit there. I could also think about just moving the water tank. Now that I know exactly where the center of the map is, I could have like one tank for this side of the map, and then one tank for this side of the map. But again, that would require me to dig out more space and see what I'm working with. Because I don't want to put the water tank where it would be perfect to put a housing unit. That would suck. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do in the next episode. I guess that really just depends on what gets revealed from my digging. But I'll just keep slowly plugging away here. I'll figure something out for next episode. But it was about time I got these volcanoes all tamed here, so good progress this episode. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.